Hello, in today's 30 minutes of gentle yoga with the chair, we will be doing a dozen variations of downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You will need a chair, a wall, a second chair, and 2 blocks for all the variations. But as always, you can simply repeat a variation that works for you and that you have the props for if you want to avoid some of the different poses or you don't have the props. So we're going to start with down dog at the wall. If you've done the sun salutation in the chair, this will be familiar. You're going to turn your chair to face the wall. And you're going to be about arm's distance away from the wall. You want to be just a little bit back from being able to touch the wall. You can sit all the way back in your chair. Take your fingertips to the wall, leaning slightly forward, and then walk your hands up the wall as far as they'll go, and bring your ears in line with your upper arms. So the neck is neutral, just in line with the rest of the spine. Let the hips release down towards the floor. So from the top of the buttocks, release down. Have a gentle pull of the abdomen back towards the spine. And then let gravity help the shoulders move towards the wall and down towards the floor, opening through the front of the shoulder joint. As you open here, you may be able to walk the fingers another ½ inch up the wall, stretching here. So we'll take a few more breaths, just opening the shoulders, opening the spine, feeling that length as you let the hips release down. And so our second variation of down dog here will be down dog to the side, or Parsva, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You're going to walk your hands over to the right and stretch more through that left side. Good. Still keeping the head in line with the upper arms. Breathing here. If you don't have a wall to use, we're going to show variation in a moment where you can use the back of a second chair. So walk yourself back to center. Take a breath here, centered in your down dog, and then walk the hands over to the left. Just as far as is comfortable, feeling a stretch through that right side here. Head staying in line with the upper arms. Breathe, soft, easy, inhale and exhale. You can walk the hands a little bit farther away to deepen the stretch as the body opens. And then walking your hands back to center. Pause here at center one more time. Observe how the shoulders feel, how the sides of the torso feel after those side stretches. And then sliding the hands down the wall, come back to sitting upright in your chair. All right, so now I'm going to show you the variation with a second chair. So this one stretches the shoulders just a little bit more. I'm going to have my second chair with the back facing towards me. And for this one, I'm going to take my feet a little bit wider than the legs of the chair, and toes pointing slightly out to the sides. My chair starts here in front of me if I have a sliding hard surface to work with. If not, you'll just have to pick up the chair and move it to the distance for you. We'll take the chair forward, flat hands on the back of the chair, so do your best not to grab onto the chair with a death grip, but open the palms, stretch the fingers, and sliding the chair forward. Bring the head in between the arms, push the hips back, and stretch in down dog here on 2 chairs. Take a few breaths here. And then just as before, we will do the twist to the side. So take your chair to the right and stretch. So you'll feel that stretch strongly through the left side, but try to feel the right side stretch too. So it's not so much about twisting to the side, but also about lengthening both sides of the torso. Breathing here. And then slide or pick up the chair, moving it back to center. Take a breath here. And then the chair comes over to the left side. Now you'll feel that stretch along the right side of your body and pushing the chair away, lengthening more. Keep turning so that both sides of the back are level between the floor and ceiling. Letting those hips release back and down as you stretch the arms away. Letting the chest come down towards the thigh, towards the floor. And then bring the chair back to center and sit yourself back up. So that's the variation with 2 chairs. Now we're going to come to a few variations standing. So moving the second chair out of the way. First we'll do 90-degree stretch with the chair. So this is best if you have a wall or a sturdy piece of furniture to put the chair against, just so that it doesn't slide. Your flat hands will go to the back of the chair. Step your feet back and stretch the arms straight, stretch the legs straight. Go ahead and lift the kneecaps, press the thighs back. Make sure the toes are lined up. The inner edges of the feet are parallel. Stretch through the shoulders. Pressing back with the thighs and reaching forward with the arms. Again, the ears are in line with the upper arms, the neck is neutral. And then lift the shoulders and step forward. Turn your chair around. Again, put the back legs of the chair against some sturdy surface like a wall, a couch, or a dresser so that it doesn't slide away from you. And first we'll do down dog in the chair with the feet underneath the hips. So hands flat on the seat of the chair and walk your feet back so that your feet are underneath your hips. And you have a nice straight line from your wrist through the shoulder joint to your hip. So if your shoulder is bent slightly like this, What you're working on is getting those hips back, getting that straight line so that the upper arms and ears are in line with each other. Shoulders are open. Toes are even, same distance from the chair, and inner edges of the feet are parallel to each other. Lift the kneecaps, press the thighs back, press the chest towards the floor, shoulder blades onto the back. And then lift the shoulders slightly. We're going into our second variation of down dog in the chair. Here, as long as you have that chair firmly against a support, you're going to put your hands more so that the heel of the hand is on the front edge of the chair, and walk your feet back to the back edge of your sticky mat. If you're not working with the sticky mat, you're just going to walk your feet back a little bit behind your hips, and again, press the chest towards the floor, opening the shoulders, shoulder blades onto the back. Here you're pushing the chair more toward the wall. If you don't have that support, just repeat feet underneath the hips. So here we're stretching a bit more into the Achilles, the calf, more of a angle in the front of the ankle. And then lift the shoulders and step forward and come all the way to standing. All right, so those are your variations of down dog using the chair. We're going to do some variations of down dog now on the floor using the blocks. So you will need 2 blocks for these variations. I'm going to use my wooden blocks today. Foam blocks work as well. You'll put your 2 blocks on the corners of your sticky mats, long out from the wall. Oh, no, first we're going to do short out from the wall. So flat but short. You're going to open up the palms of your hands, the thumbs and the index fingers away from each other, and placing your hands on top of the blocks, just gently touch your fingertips to the wall. All right, your head is touching the wall. Your knees are directly underneath your hips. Feet hip distance apart. Curl the toes under and lift the hips up and back. Here we are with the hands now still slightly raised on the blocks, reaching the heels back and down. Press the thighs back. Just repeating down dog and the side down dog variations if you are not getting down on the floor. Breathe. Nice, soft, deep inhale and exhales. And then bend the knees and come down. All right, so now we're going to take the blocks and have them angled up the wall. I've got a nice baseboard here to put my blocks against. If you don't have a baseboard, just lean the blocks up against the wall. Okay. From here, the palms are forward. This is going to stretch the wrists more in down dog. So opening up those wrist joints. Curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and press the heels down towards the floor. And you'll notice that with this variation, and as I'm opening the backs of the legs, my heels are coming down to the floor now. Both because I'm warming up and also because my hands are raised. Lengthen from the wrists to the elbows to the shoulders to the hips. press the thighs back and reach the heels back and down. And then bend the knees again. And uncurl the toes. Now place the blocks down on the edges of the mat. Now they're long out from the wall, and you're going to turn around. Place your feet in between the blocks, toes close to the wall, hips over the knees, hands underneath the shoulders. Curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and then you're going to step up onto the blocks. And you can rest your heels on the wall and press the chest towards the thighs. Open the body, open the spine, open the shoulders. Lift the kneecaps and press the thighs back. Try to get those heels as far down the wall as you can, even onto the tops of the blocks. And observe where you're feeling more stretch now. You may be feeling an increased intensity in the legs, a little bit more weight through the shoulders, so really lift up, lengthening up from the wrist to the hips, and then to come down, bring the shoulders slightly forward, step down off the blocks, and come down to hands and knees. All right, so now we're going to do down dog with the head supported. So you won't need the wall for this, but you can use one of your blocks. You can also use a bolster or a stack of folded blankets. So I'm coming to a nice wide down dog here. Little toes to the outer edges of the mat, little fingers to the outer edges of the mat, and my block is underneath my heart center. So it's behind my hands. From here, curl the toes under, lift the hips up and back, and bring the forehead to rest on the block. Now, if that block is not high enough for your forehead, you can turn the block up to the higher setting. If it feels too high, you can bring the block down to the medium or the low setting. And if you're in between, you can adjust the length of your down dog, or maybe pull a blanket in on top of that low block. You can also put a blanket on top of the high block to get extra height, and a little bit of padding for the head. But the head is not jamming into the block here, it's just lightly resting. Press the thighs back, lengthen through the arms, the shoulders, the torso, back into the hips. Good, and then bending the knees, coming down to hands and knees. All right, and then our last variation of down dog today is going to be without any support, and we're going to go into it in 3 stages. So starting with your fingers spread wide, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. You'll curl the toes under, and keeping the knees deeply bent, lift the knees from the floor and press the thighs back. Okay? So I'm still here in this deep knee bend position. The abdomen is actually touching the thighs. I've got such a deep bend in the knees, and I'm really stretching through the arms. So this really allows me to open the shoulders without tightness in the hamstring getting in the way. Then I'm slowly going to begin to straighten the legs, lifting the hips up towards the ceiling, staying high on the balls of the feet, heels lifted. and not letting the shoulders move forward over the hands. Keeping that upper back in exactly the same position. Good. Finally coming to those straight legs. Press the chest towards the thighs again, and then pressing the tops of the thighs back. Reach the heels back and down. And press the heels towards the floor and reach the fronts of the ankles back. Lift from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder to the hip. And then bending the knees, coming down to hands and knees. And then it's always nice to take a little rest in child's pose here. So big toes come together, hips go back towards the heels, stretch the arms forward, and let the forehead rest on the floor. Take a few breaths here, letting the ribs come down between the thighs, resting on those inner thighs, letting the hips release down, rounding the back. And then draw the hands back underneath the shoulders. Push yourself up and turn back towards the front, the legs stretched out in front of you. Coming into Dandasana, staff pose. Roll the shoulders back and down. And then reach the arms forward and up. Urdhva Hastasana in Dandasana. Pressing the thighs down, lift up through the arms. Good. Breathe here. And then reaching forward for those feet. If you can, reach the feet. You're going to grab the big toes, holding on to the big toes. If you can't grab the big toes, you can just hold on to the shins wherever you can reach, or use a belt around the soles of the feet. Otherwise, you are just holding on to the big toes and bending the elbows out to the side. Pull yourself forward and down over those legs, looking towards the shins. So, Paschimottanasana, variation with the big toes. And straighten the arms, walk the hands back to the hips. Good, then we're going to do a twist here. So take your right hand behind you, your left hand to the outside of your right thigh. Inhale, lift. Exhale, twist to the right. And then release. And left hand behind you. Exhale, turn to the left. And release. And finally, one more forward bend. Reach the arms forward and up. And reach forward for your feet. Again, grabbing the big toes. Inhale, lift up. exhale, fold forward. Breathing here. Feeling that stretch through the back. Pulling with your arms as you press into the balls of the big toes. Stretching the backs of the legs. And then straightening the arms, lifting the chest. Reach the arms forward and up. Good. And bring the arms down by the sides. All right. Bend the knees. Bringing the legs into easy cross legs. Lift the chest. Roll the shoulders back and down. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. The light in me acknowledges the light in you. Namaste. Thank you for coming to class and joining me today. Please like and subscribe if you'd like to get more of these videos, and check out the ones I've done so far for the month of August. And I hope to see you again soon.